Hi, it's me again. So I wasn't gonna talk about racism on this blog, and because I think it's a very complicated and very, very sore subject. Uh, so many people have not healed throughout the years, and people have not changed. So I met a boy who prayed to Jesus and asked him to make him white. It broke my heart, and in ways I never thought that my heart would break. And I mean, I've experienced racism, and I've heard people's stories, and yes, one is more painful than the other. But this boy is adopted in a white family, and he went to school, and kids were teasing him and saying all sorts of horrible things about him. That he can't accept himself, and he's a child, he's 7. To struggle with your race at that age, it's difficult. I cannot even imagine what it's like, because I didn't grow up in a home where race was important, where they talked about race. Okay, granted, my mom died when I was 12, so maybe she would have later, but my sister also, and she was older than me, so she also didn't experience any type of hatred for white people or for any other race. So I was privileged that I learned to see people for who they are and got to know them and not judge them from a distance. Of course, the older I get, the more I knew what was going on in South Africa, and the more I meet people and see how people treat me, the more I experience it. And over the years, particularly last year, because last year was my year of trying to get to know God in a deeper way, not just normal, the superficial way that we sometimes get to know God, but I really was just seeking to know Him and to know His heart and to understand His heart. And I found that it broke my heart so much every time there was racism problems and poverty and things like that. And I prayed and I said to Him, Lord, is there something wrong with black people? Because I'm not understanding why we hated. For centuries, black people seem to have just been hated. Did we do something wrong that maybe we don't know, that we don't understand? And God kept telling me no, but I wasn't getting it. I was just not, And I was saying the same thing I was saying to God, I was saying to my husband. My husband kept telling me, no, you cannot think like that. There's nothing black people did. It's just people's hatred, and the devil is bringing hatred. And I struggled so much with it, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I never got it, because I wanted to know our purpose in life. I wanted to know how we fit in the grand scheme of things, and what is God's plan for us? What does He want us to do about this, and how does He want us to move, and how He want us to react? Because I know that He doesn't want us to react in hate as well, and to start doing the same things that white people have done to black people. And this morning, I was listening to a preacher talking about Leah and Rachel. Obviously, Jacob served years for Rachel, but he got Leah, and he never loved her because he was waiting for Rachel. He wanted Rachel, he loved Rachel. And it broke Leah's heart, the rejection that she received from her husband, because she never felt good enough, and she prayed and she went to bed every night crying and asking the Lord to help her, and the Lord helped her conceive. So the Lord blessed her with children, whereas Rachel was struggling with having children. And I'm not saying that that God purposefully makes us struggle or worry just before you throw stones at me. All I'm saying is that when Rachel struggled, it drew her closer as well to God. She prayed more and she asked God to help her. And God delivered her in that difficult time. And it was surprising for me to find out that Jesus' lineage comes from Rachel's womb, because they mention Judah when they're talking about the genealogy. They mention Judah, who was Jacob's son, but also Rachel's son. So it got me thinking that being rejected sometimes, and you never know where God's going to take you. You never know what God's plan is. And I believe that God has a plan for Black people, that we are not just some rejects that he overburned and just decided to toss aside. I mean, we're talking about an entire continent. We're talking about a nation that God made, that God created, but it's been rejected so much that we've lost our way. We've found comfort in making our own gods, worshipping our own people that have passed on, because we feel like God is not for us, and God is not helping us, and God is not hearing us. But today it hit me that God is hearing us. God is listening. And we might not see it today, and maybe not tomorrow, but God is building a nation that's going to be completely amazing. And one day when we sit by Jesus' feet and God shows us all these things and how important we are to him and how beautiful and fearfully wonderfully made we are, maybe then we'll get to understand. But how does this now, how do I use this information now, today, to tell my children, to help my other brothers and sisters to accept themselves? I don't know how to use it, and because I don't know God's plan, I don't know his entire plan, but I know that he loves us, that when I look in the mirror, I see him, because he made me in his image. And yes, that might not completely mean in a physical form, because there's so many people, and God went completely just creative on everybody, but from accepting my hair to accepting the tone of my skin that's been rejected so much, God loves me. He looked at me and he thought it was good. I don't know, I feel like I'm not making complete sense. But I know that God loves me, and God loves you, and God sees you. And in your suffering, in your rejection, great things are going to come. Wonderful things are going to come. One day you're going to look back and think, what was the fuss about? You know, and this goes into everything, not just racism, but everything, feeling like you don't fit in, feeling like nobody wants you, being adopted and feeling like your parents never wanted you. Having that rejection, being rejected as a person can have such a huge impact in your life. And I just want you to know today that God loves you. And the things that the devil meant for bad, for evil, he's going to turn them around in your life. And he's going to make them for good. Never stop believing that he made you for a specific purpose. He made you for a reason. And I believe that as a people, as Black people, he has a greater purpose for our lives. And we just need to look to him, turn to him, and seek his face, seek his plans. Only seek him, and he will reveal himself. Thank you.